Life.
What's up, YouTube? It's your girl Dee Dee. Welcome and welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all so much for tuning in once again. So I am back with another reaction video for you guys. Now this time we're gonna be reacting to a video of feminists versus anti-feminists. So we're gonna be reacting to Dr. Daff's shows. Shout out to Dr. Daff. I am very familiar with her. I've been watching her for years before she back in the day when she had like a beauty channel. Shout out to her. Good to see her doing her thing. And also shout out to Carmen JC and Maggie, the substitute teacher. They're a part of this video. And they really gonna go in on these feminists, y'all. And I thought this was a good video to react to. I definitely want to get your thoughts on it. I want to know what you think about what is said in this video. If you're new to the channel and you like the content, but you haven't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It is free to subscribe. Share and like the video and turn on your notification bell to be notified when I upload new content, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and get into the video. Y'all definitely let me know what you think down below. Here we go.
White women benefit the most from the feminist movement. Okay. I think almost everyone agree, but then not quite. Okay, why don't you go ahead and share?
I don't think any woman benefits from feminism, but I do agree if we're like playing into I don't know. I don't really like to, because I don't like feminism, I don't really like to even acknowledge any kind of like a benefit or anything, because I just don't agree with it as an ideology. But there is that race element to it. So.
Do you think being able to choose your career or wear pants or drive or vote or anything like that is something that feminism has brought about, or what do you think brought that about?
Well, I just don't. If I had to choose my womanhood or my motherhood over material gain, I would choose my
I just want
womanhood.
an answer to the question, please.
No, I think it's materialistic.
But don't you have all of those
But
things
that still does not answer my question. There's been a lot of non-answering questions here.
I don't think
Because you guys are going
feminism-
completely off the prompt. The prompt is white women benefit more.
Yeah,
They do.
We agree. Yes, they fucking do. But white women always come up before everyone else most of the time anyway. That's just the thing. It's still, sorry to bring up race, but like white people in general. So if we're going to talk about women, yeah, did it benefit white women more? Of course it did. Because we still had to tackle the civil rights movement. It's human rights.
I see why you fight for it.
all of those movements are movements to get you to do things. It's not you thinking for yourself.
This movement was so that we could decide what we wanted to do.
Well, most of the stuff that you guys said you wanted, you have now. Now it's to the
Because
point where you
of
have allowed
feminism.
men.
Because
You have
of women
literally
before
allowed
me.
you physically allowed men into your movement. It just contradicts the whole movement. When you allow
No, it doesn't. We're not
transgender women are men.
Oh God, we're not going there.
Yeah, they're men.
we
You guys
go.
allow them in the movement.
I think in general, movements that are about any group of people is always going to best serve the majority population within that group and also those who already have other privileges conferred intersectionally in other areas, which is why white women are going to benefit the most from feminism, right? This is going to, if you look at class-oriented stuff, generally poor white people will benefit significantly more on certain measures than other groups of people, right? This is just generally the case, in part because of just numbers. There's just more of them in that group of people, right? And because of that, you're just going to get more outshiners and stuff like that. You're going to get people who benefit maximally from it. So this is mostly a population issue. Yeah, there's more white women. So white women will disproportionately benefit from it.
Well, and she may have a case there, but my thing is this: women are complaining about the consequences of feminism. They're talking about the benefits of it, but now that they have achieved the benefits of feminism, being able to work, being able to have bank accounts, as they always talking about, being able to work for themselves and take care of themselves and be equal to men, now they're complaining about having to do that. So it's like, was it really worth it? Was it really worth it to, get outside of the home because they didn't like the fact that women were relegated to the house and relegated to taking care of the home and the children and pleasing their husbands? They wanted to be out working, becoming, doing something that they felt was more productive outside of the home. But fast forward, now they're able to do it, and it's something that there is, they talk about the benefits, but they didn't think about the consequences of feminism, because now you have more women still want traditional men. You want the benefits of feminism, but you also want the benefits of a traditional man. You just don't want to be a traditional woman anymore, but you still want men to take care of you. That's the part I don't understand, but let's continue.
I guess maybe I could answer Matrix about feminism doesn't confer any benefits because you don't like feminism. I think one of the issues, so one thing that happens on my tribe that I have a major issue with is we don't acknowledge any of the good things from the established institution, which they call patriarchy, that has benefited everyone, right? And I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Feminism just has given you a credit card. I don't know what else it could even, nothing else is attributable here, right? It just did give you the right to vote. Right? It did give you these choices. And I get you don't like feminism, but unfortunately, that's what is to blame for these things. You can dislike feminism and still appreciate what historical feminists have done.
No, I can do what I want. I can not like it, not contribute to it, not be a part of it, not have a credit card, not vote. I can do that.
I just meant to be, I guess
No,
I
I'm
meant to be
just-
intellectually
Okay,
coherent. You
cool.
have to, but it's fine if you don't want to. That's fine.
Exactly. Thank you.
I think, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I think what maybe these women feel is that maybe those things are important to you, but they're not important to them.
Maybe it's confusing for you guys, but feminists, I don't want to tell you what to do with your life. I genuinely don't care what you do. If you want to have a baby, I want you to have it. Actually, if you want to have a baby, I want you to have a baby, because those are the people who we want to have be parents, right? Like, feminism is all about choice. If you want to be a trad wife, I want you to be that trad wife. I hope you find the man who can provide for you in this economy. That's all it is. It's just about having choice. I'm not telling anyone how to live their life. I would never tell you guys what to do, but I feel from your point, you are telling us how to live lives. Like, a lot of the time it comes off as you're wrong if you do this, you're bad if you do that, and I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong about your decisions for yourself. I'm not your mother. I don't know what's better for you, just like you guys aren't mine. So that's my only problem here. Feminism is just a way of, it's an equalizer, so we can all come up together.
I feel you. I guess, like, for me, like, the reason why I really opt out and I'm strongly against it is because I don't really hear you guys acknowledge any positive things, like, about motherhood, like, at the forefront of the movement. Like, I feel like a lot of the stories that are told in feminism or feminist theory and stuff, it's always, like, these terrible, tragic, sad stories. And, like, even the women that you reference, you know, as our feminist leaders, like, they didn't live very beautiful, amazing, extravagant lives that any little girl would want to aspire to live. And so I feel like a lot of time, well, Mary Wollstonecraft, Susan B. Anthony, all of these feminists, they all had very tragic, sad, like, traumatizing lives. And so even when they take, like, anecdotes, like, of other women's lives, it's always a highlight on, like, these terrible things. And it's like, why can't we teach women how to be happy, how to, you know, submit and enjoy that, how to appreciate what their body can do? Like, I don't understand why that is something that's shunned, because, like, y'all's faces are turning. So that's what I'm trying to say is, like, why is it always, why are all the bad stories amplified? That's what I'm curious about. Because
Yeah, you know what? And I understand where she's coming from, because I've experienced that as well. You know, being a mother and a wife and taking care of your family was shunned. It wasn't, you know, in more modern society. You know, it's like, oh, you need to get out and work and you need to do this and you need to, you know, be productive in society, as if raising your kids and taking care of your household was not a productive thing. There are people who definitely shun and look down on women who choose to be mothers and stay home if they have the opportunity to do that, because quite frankly, this is what a lot of women are complaining about now. The feminists and the independent boss chicks are out here working hard, competing with men, and they don't like it, and they look miserable and they look depressed. They're saying they want providers now. You want to have a man who's going to provide 100% of the bills and everything else. So now you want that aspect of it, but you're also not a traditional woman. Make that make sense. And so the very thing that they fought for is the very thing they're complaining about now. But at the same time, they don't want to be housewives still. They don't want to be traditional women. They just want traditional men. And I think that's ridiculous. And then also, there are so many women, which some of them, I don't know if they were feminists or not, but they certainly operated like one. They really had a lot of negative stories about their experiences in life and what they've been through. You don't really hear any positive stories coming from that side. And anytime you say something about your experiences that are good, they don't really have too much to say, because they don't really condone that. So there have definitely been women who have shunned being a motherhood and made it seem as if that was less than, and that, oh, you should want more. You know, it's maybe subtle, but yeah, it's always that idea of, oh, you don't want a career. Do you want to be more than just a mother? And oh my God, you should aspire to do this, and you should. No, that's your choice. You make your choice, do what you want, and let me make mine. But yeah, the lady with the orange hair, whatever, pink hair, you know, she's saying that, but there definitely have been women who have shunned the idea of women who actually love being at home and love being a housewife versus women who go out and have these careers. And it's not all what it's cracked up to be. They're complaining about it now. They're tired of working. They don't want to be the breadwinners anymore. They don't want to pay for everything anymore. They want men to be chivalrous, and they want men to take the lead and take care of everything, but they're not willing to be the type of women that they've run away from. They don't want to be traditional women, but they still want the benefits of a traditional man. And that's where there's an issue, where this feminist ideology doesn't really work anymore. It doesn't really work because they have what they wanted and they're still complaining. I'm hoping that makes sense. Let's continue.
That's not every woman's story. That's not every woman's experience.
No, you're right.
You know?
No good story comes from everything going right is a quote that I've heard that I think maybe might answer that. But with back to the prompt, we all agree feminism benefits white people, white women the most. How do we actually bring everybody else up? Is there any people that disagree with feminism? Like, how do we bring everybody up?
I think we bring up our community by turning towards each other instead of against each other. Right. And I think if you look at it as a balanced approach, I'm not going to deny the fact that women can work, we can vote, we can own, we can do all those things. But I think it is foolish to only look at that and not look at the harm that feminism has caused, especially minority communities. I'll speak as a Black woman. Black women get married at 1/4 the rate. And that is not helping our community because we're going against our men, and our communities are stronger because we are better together. So I think when we promote healthy families, when we promote the nuclear family, when we promote husbands and wives, moms and dads, boys and girls, that is how we get better. Feminism is not going to make us better. Feminism is actually making our community worse.
I didn't know that feminism equals not getting married at a higher rate.
Yeah, because it's pushing an idea of independence. You know, that you don't need a man, that you can go out and be just as equal to. So there's competition amongst women and men. So it puts a focus on the focus on being these independent individuals because you're trying to prove that you can be just as good as a man. So the focus would not be on having a family early on. This is why a lot of people push back against creating families and getting married young, because they feel like they're missing out on something because they have these opportunities. Or a lot of women forego husbands and families for their careers because they feel like being a mother and a wife is stagnant, is holding them back. And now that women have these opportunities, they can't miss out. So they go for the careers first. We see it happen all the time. And especially in the Black community, it's either one or the other. The thing that I think in the Black community with a lot of our women we miss is the fact that you can still go to college and get that degree, but you should still be focused on getting a husband and building a family. And I think with other communities, they tend to do that. Even with their feminist mindsets, they still end up getting married. This is why I think in our community, we have the lowest marital rates, because it's focused on career, and not marrying. And a lot of women don't even want to be married. Some of them, they don't want kids, but they end up having kids out of wedlock. So the focus is either, is mainly because a lot of us are taught don't focus on a man. You don't need a man. Go out and take care of yourself. You could be independently, strong by yourself. You don't need a man. And this is what tends to happen. And I think that feminist mindset it helped to contribute to the demise of where the Black community is as it relates to nuclear families, women getting married. And this is part of the reason, in my opinion, why we have the lowest rates, because the focus was never on marriage, because that's not what we were taught. We were taught, to be independent. You don't need a man. You can do it for yourself. And to me, that's part of the feminist mindset. And we could argue that, that's not what it says, but that is what was perceived by it. And that was what was taken away from it. When back in the day, I guess you would say maybe the 40s, 50s, and 60s, Black people were married at a higher rate. You had to work together. But then it came along this idea to kind of like brainwash and gather Black women into a movement that was never meant for them, to separate themselves from their men, making them believe that they can be this independent, successful person without a man, and then ending up without a family. So it is very detrimental to our community because we are a smaller demographic. With women thinking this way, it's causing a big issue and it's causing a divide within our community. And one thing, and I'll say, we'll say, you notice that even some of the most staunch feminists still have a husband. Even though they think like that and they support that, they still end up getting married and having a family. But for some reason in our communities, it's either or. Oh, I got to focus on my career. Even though you're going to sleep around and do all that and sometimes have children, a husband is not a necessity. The nuclear family is not important. Having a father figure for your kids is not important because you can do it by yourself. There was definitely an agenda, whether it was overt or subliminal, it was definitely in there, which kind of lended itself to the way a lot of Black women think. It just didn't come out of the thin blue sky, in my opinion. Let's continue.
You guys think feminism is just don't marry?
I mean, it leads to not getting married because men just don't like masculinity. They don't like
So you think
women
if you're a feminist, you're masculine?
I mean, like you can take a look at this row of how these women are dressed. They're dressed very feminine, all of them. And then look at you guys. And I'm not. You got your dress on. I'm not even. And this is not a dig at you guys. It's not a dig, but it is. But it's just to say that men are more attracted to that.
Kidding? That is insulting. Yeah, men will put their in what they can put it in.
They will
She just sat here and looked at all of us and said, "Oh, this is what men want."
I mean, ask them.
The reason that I said it benefits white women more, I don't think it benefits women at all. But if we go back to like Margaret Sanger starting Planned Parenthood, and she was part of the eugenics movement, so she wanted to kill Black babies. So that is part of the feminist movement, was to get rid of Black women's babies and the Black population.
I think this actually speaks really well. I forget your name. I'm so
Maggie.
sorry. Maggie.
Yeah.
Maggie was saying this as well, and it's something I echo, which is that there's a really big problem that happens in our tribes where we don't want to look at the bad things that's associated with them. And I would totally agree with that, right? I look at that and I'm like, I don't think that's great. I like Simone de Beauvoir for lots of reasons, but I don't love everything. I don't love everything that feminists do, right? When I say that I'm a feminist, it's because the ideology, which I would label as feminism, is for the promotion of femininity and like the advocacy and empowerment of women. I think that that's good. So look at the third wave of feminism, which you're probably gonna have an issue with. The third wave of feminism was a very white woman movement. It was mostly fixated on getting women into work and wasn't celebrating things that are associated more typically for women with femininity. I think that that's bad. But you look at the fourth wave movement of feminism, and that's corrected. That's why I like the fourth wave of feminism. So we can have bad actors, we can have bad ideas in feminism, and still identify with the idea if you choose to, right? And this is why I choose to. I don't stand by every feminist. I mean, we've disagreed on this side, right? We're heterogeneous necessarily. And yeah, I guess I'll let you move back to that.
Well, our country was founded by white men who raped their slaves, but it doesn't mean that I'm not proud to be an American, just in the same way that I would say that I'm proud to be a feminist. So. And the final prompt is, there is no shame in having a high body count. No. Okay.
Well, I think that shame leads to repentance, and repentance leads to changed behavior. And so having a high body count, like, for example, I talk to people in my community, in the Christian community, and I speak with people, and women that do have high body counts, they tend to struggle with like BPD, borderline personality disorder, other personality issues, comparison, even struggling with being satisfied in the bedroom with their husbands because they had so many other sexual partners. So I do think that there should be shame. I think there should be shame if men are sleeping around. I will say that. There's accountability for that too. That's not right.
Yeah, I agree with her. I think there definitely needs to be some shame because it's out of hand. And, I think there's not enough said about it. There's pushback behind it. But women don't want to accept that fact. A lot of women don't want to accept the idea that, we're in a society where women have become even more promiscuous. Women don't, it's admirable to be and sleep with a lot of men. It's commended. It's praised in a sense. And there's not a whole lot of pushback from women It's the men who speak against it, who say, who are able to speak out and say, hey, what we don't like about it. But a lot of the women have pushback and don't really have anything negative to say about that, because, it's an empowerment thing that kind of, borders the whole feminist movement. Hey, we're entitled to do whatever we want. We're free and empowered to do whatever we want. And I think it's led women down the rabbit hole of something that they can't come back from. And even though a lot of women are in denial, they don't want to accept that fact. It is actually a fact that it does more harm than good to praise, high body counts and being sexually promiscuous. That is not something that we should be celebrating or condoning or even being a part of. I think that this goes back to the idea of creating families, creating healthy communities and healthy children. Because what we do see that within this whole feminist, independent boss chick mentality is that it comes with a lot of promiscuity. It comes with women who feel empowered to be that way. That, hey, they're liberated and they're successful and they can do whatever they want, but they don't take into consideration the consequences of that behavior. And then when they have to deal with the consequences of that, they're still finding fault in men as to why they're in those positions and why men think the way they think. It's almost if they're trying to convince men to agree with this whole empowerment thing and also accept it as well. And that's the issue. Let's continue.
So, but this is like our Christian beliefs. So in my Christian beliefs are both of us should be waiting until marriage. So, yeah.
Well, I want to address the statistics there, because people with higher body counts do show higher satisfaction in relationships, specifically also like couples who have more sex over time experience happier sexual relationships like that. The other thing, I want to make sure that we're getting the causation right here. Women or people with BPD struggle with higher impulsive sexual behavior. It's not people who are more sexual struggle with BPD. I want to make sure we're not like saying this thing is causing like high sexual behavior is causing BPD. It just happens to be that this group of people, that's like saying that people who have like hallucinations struggle with schizophrenia or whatever. We're like, okay, well, yeah, you're going to look at a population that has a high level of that and say, oh, well, they have high levels of this. Well, yeah, that's like the population you're looking at. That's like saying also that men happen to be more suicidal, and then saying like, oh, it's a thing with men. Like it is just the fact about being a male that makes you more suicidal, which is not true. Like you're getting the causation kind of mixed up. I want to make sure that's very clear.
I mean, I feel like I'm going to speak from a whole different type of language where I think that when you are laying down with someone, you're creating a soul tie. So I do think that will lead to some type of just spiritual bonding.
Do you have like an argument that there's like a spiritual, or is this just like religious
Yeah, it's
thing?
just my religious beliefs, yeah.
Okay, there's no evidence. I mean, I can't argue with that.
Anyone else?
I feel like we're looking at different statistics on the relational satisfaction, because women with higher body counts get divorced at a far higher rate. And they also, it's harder for them to pair bond with their husbands because they've had so many past partners.
So pair bonding research is really not super strong, right? This idea of like oxytocin being released and stuff like that. The pair bonding is quite weak, evidentially. Like it's just increasingly becoming an unpopular theory around sex and sexual bonding, right? It seems like intimacy and closeness over time predicts closeness rather than these sort of things. I guess to kind of speak to the shame piece more directly, being Christian as well, there is immeasurable amounts of sexual shame in the church. So guilt, when you're talking about repentance, guilt drives behavioral change. Shame doesn't. Shame drives lying and closing down and not talking to others. If you look at the rates, for example, of vaginismus, if you guys don't know what that is, it's when sex and any form of penetration is exceptionally painful for a woman. It is 3 times higher in religious groups. As a woman who's been I'm married for 8 years, I only have a body count of 1, came from a very Christian background. My Christian background and the tying of sexual shame that was there was so hard on my marriage. And in fact, if you talk to a lot of religious women, they're gonna tell you this, right? A lot of my friends, for example, say, my virginity was so tied to my value that when I lost it to my husband, I thought I was dirty, right? Look at the rates of orgasm amongst religious married women. So shame in general, when it comes to sexuality, seems mostly just to lead to worse outcomes. There can be conversations about impulsivity, right? About choosing who your partner is more wisely. I'm actually open to those conversations. The issue is that when we shame people for their body count, it's disproportionately women, right? If you look at these, and I agree that you're consistent, it's both of you. Look at these red pill podcasts. All they want to do is get their body count up and shame women for giving them that body count, right? This leads to worse relationships.
I don't think we need to bring back shame to women. I think it's more so that sexual, like being sexual and being promiscuous shouldn't be celebrated as much in our culture as it is.
Sure, but the prompt was specifically, is it more shameful, right? And you guys said yes. That is necessarily bringing more shame to women for that. That's necessarily doing the thing you're opposed to.
Okay, well, I mean, I have a yes or no. So I'm not going to say no because I don't think that being sexually promiscuous is good for anyone.
I agree.
So that's why I said.
Okay. So I wanna chime in here and say that I grew up in a very conservative religion that shamed you for any type of sex outside of marriage. What did that lead to? What did shaming people about body count lead to in that kind of religious situation? People lied about it. Here's the natural truth about humans. All of us have sex, even when we pretend we don't have sex. We are all still having sex. I don't care if it's the 1950s or it's 2025. Every person is having sex. That's just the reality of it. Some people want to have sex less than others. Some people want to have sex more than others. And none of that is about who they are morally as a person. I am a person who happens to consider myself to be hypersexual. It's just part of who I am. It's always been part of who I am. And when I was 14, growing up in a very religious church that told me that who I was as a person was bad, that was really harmful for me as a person. I was depressed as a child. I was on antidepressants. I thought something was broken in myself. And when I finally left that religion and the shackles of the shame that had been placed on me by the patriarchy in that religion, I realized there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just this type of person. And here's the deal. People who like to have sex with a lot of people, we like to date other people who like to have sex with a lot of people. And people who don't like to have sex with a lot of people should date people who don't have sex with a lot of people. And it doesn't say anything about who they are as a person or their value as a human being or how good they are or how bad they are. It means nothing. It means nothing. It's just a bodily function that most people end up doing.
Yeah, I don't agree. I don't think that it doesn't mean anything because it shows, if you are sexually sexually liberated, you sleeping around, you've been doing it, and you sleep with a bunch of other people who want to sleep around as well. But the problem with that is a lot of women do that and they have that idea, that mentality that, oh, it's just my bodily function and that's just who I am. But then when they want commitment, when they finally look around and say, hey, I want to be married or I want to have a family and I want to have this. And then when they find it difficult to have that, then that's when it becomes a problem. Then they still want to say, oh, it's nothing wrong with me and it's not an issue until it is an issue. And this is what we see happening all the time. It's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with you, Kate. Okay, that's your choice. But those choices have consequences. And I think this is the problem that a lot of women, oh, we shouldn't be shamed for this and we shouldn't be. Okay, if you're not shamed for it, and if women don't feel shame for it, why is it that so many women lie about their body count? They lie about that. Nobody tell them to lie about it. They naturally feel like they have to lie because and it could be a societal thing where innately that is not something that is looked at or praised, but there's going to be pushback and men are going to look at you differently based on that body count. Oftentimes we see women who want families and they're convinced that, hey, if I've been on OnlyFans, if I've been this it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can still get a husband and then when they have a hard time getting that, then, oh, it's the men's fault for not accepting them because of their behavior and their lifestyle or their past. You know what I mean? That's the issue, really. Let's continue.
I think a lot of people are using their personal experiences to define their reality. So you say like you grew up religious, they told you don't do this, so obviously you're going to do the exact opposite.
That's not why I am who I am.
But I'm just saying.
I just like getting freaky.
Sure, there could be a middle ground there though. Like I think having multiple sex partners, like loosely having sex with different men, not only is it dangerous because you can catch STDs, this is why you guys are having a this is why, you're not desired. It's a lot of things that is happening.
I mean, I would say the amount of sex partners I have would indicate I am desired. I mean, that seems like
Are you getting?
But you also just said men stick
but men value women that they marry, not women that they have sex with. So women that they have sex with is usually just a throwaway.
But again, men who like to have sex like to be with women who like to have sex. So they actually just partner together. Like that's the reality.
I would disagree.
They just partner together.
I just personally feel like you guys probably don't ever listen to men. Men like women with a low body count. You could just listen to them and they'll tell you this out of their mouth. You don't have to go looking for this.
But again, this is the conversation. The men I like to date are like me, and they like to have lots of partners because we are good in bed and we're experienced.
But you guys are always
and those men want to have a woman who they own their virginity.
You're
Great,
always speaking for the exception and not the rule, though. Why do you guys in all of your arguments today? You represented the exception and not the rule.
I'm asking why do men prefer women with lower body counts? Is it just innate,
because
or is there
these
a
are the
reason?
women that have to bear their children.
Ignorance is bliss, and they don't want to be
These are the women
compared.
that have to bear their children.
I have a problem a little bit with men, like just comments that you're making, but yet you.
I have no problem with men. I'm straight.
Well,
I
you-
love men.
I
The
just
good
heard.
ones.
I just heard like multiple just negative comments about men. Like
You
they like
do
to put
realize
their.
that men are responsible for 90% of the violent crime.
But you're
You talk-
sleeping with many of them.
Yeah,
so
but
do you
we
like?
still we still love men.
90% of the violent crime, that still does not represent all men. That still would be the
Exactly. That's my
minority
point, though, is
of
that
men.
it doesn't represent
so men
all
are
men. None of
awesome.
us
Men
are
are great. They
against-
protect you just like they
We're not
assault
anti-men.
women. They protect women. They fight wars so you don't have to.
Other men. They protect you from generally another man. So enough with that.
Okay, that is protecting whom?
But I'm saying I'm not against men.
Okay, but
You
they're
literally
doing
just
it
put
to
words in my
protect
mouth
their.
saying, "Oh, I'm anti-man." I'm not.
I didn't
I'm
say you were
straight.
anti-man.
I f- men. A lot of them.
I didn't say you
No,
were
I'm serious.
anti-man.
I'm
pretty
so
sure
tired
that
of
we
feminists
all
being labeled
love
as
men.
anti-man. We're not. In fact, I think feminists help men because we're trying to relieve a little bit of pressure off of them. Like,
But they're
I'm
not asking
anti-man.
for that. They would rather you just respect them. They would just rather respect. They don't care about none
Just
of the
because we
things
don't
you have
worship
to
men
offer.
doesn't mean that we don't like them. I don't put them on a pedestal. I don't treat them like they're princes.
should
I'm not
be
like,
on a
oh, what
pedestal.
great,
They-
amazing
they
dudes.
are awesome.
I like men just fine. I'm unfortunately straight too.
Question on this side, for especially for those of you who love men, right?
Right.
What can you tell me something you love about men?
Yeah, some of them have great sense of humor. Some of them are super helpful and funny. And I mean, I like men the same reasons I like women. These are all just human traits. You're funny, you're smart, you're good looking, you take care of me. I have girlfriends like that. I'm not bisexual.
But we're not talking about
friends
yeah,
or girls.
We're talking because you said that a lot of people think feminists hate men. I want to know, without talking about women, only talking about men, what do you like about men? About their uniqueness of being. I'm asking the men lovers.
See, I guess I'm trying to think about what makes men unique, though, because when I like a man, they're funny, they're smart, they're good looking. But I could describe a woman with these terms.
Okay, so you don't think that there are things about men that are unique necessarily?
Well, I mean, I'm born straight, so I can't say like I choose to be attracted to men. Like this is how I was born. You know what I mean? So like I can't tell you what that's about, but I can say that I like men because they're funny, they're smart. Some of them, they can protect me if I need to sometimes. Like I understand why you like men, but I think you can all understand that they have traits that are not good, right? Like you have men you don't like, right? You know that not all men are great.
Of course. And I want to know what you like about men too, without PG.
PG, right. So I would say a lot of my good friends are men. I think men are smart and funny, just like she was saying.
Well, yeah, a lot of her good friends are men because she's sleeping with them. I like the questions because, you know, what we see when it comes to feminists, we see a lot of like male, you know, what is it? She-man women haters. Like they a lot of them don't seem to really like men. They want to decenter themselves from men, a lot of them. And I know everybody is not the same, of course, but what we see a lot is women who, you know, advocate for only women. They don't want to, you know, they look at men as if it's ill, like, oh, it's something wrong with them. But they want to be equal to them for some reason and they believe that they're better than most men. So that's what you hear a lot of times with women who have this feminist mindset, is that they're better than a man. Men can't do anything right. It's always something negative. So it would be nice to hear how they really think. Is it all negative or what? You know? So I thought that was a good question, but let's continue.
Think that I'm sexually attracted to men. I think they're pretty much the exact same as women. But if I were choosing like to hang out with someone one-on-one, I'd probably pick a woman because I'd probably be safer because they probably wouldn't be trying to, I don't know, have sex with me as an ulterior motive.
So it sounds like a lot of.
But I mean, I just don't see men as like a special category that they need to be worshipped in some separate way. Like, oh, men are really the reason why I'm here. I think the reason why I'm here is women. I tend to worship women more than men.
But don't you know that men allow you to have your rights? Because if it really came down to it, they can just overpower you and take all of your rights.
Actually, I have rights because of women. I have rights because women.
You have
who
rights
came
because
before
of
me.
men.
No, I have rights because of women. I'm here because of women.
Okay, and if they declare war on you because of your rights, what happens? You all die.
Okay, you're having a hypothetical conversation about something that hasn't happened. I'm having a real conversation about the fact that the reason why I'm able to vote is not because of men, but because of hard-working women.
And who allowed it?
A few good men.
Who allowed these things to happen? Men, not a few. A lot of good men. A lot of good men.
Yeah, I agree that men allow it. And I think that's the part of feminism that, you know, a lot of feminists don't want to accept. And even though they're on here and they seem, you know, kind of, you know, in the middle or making it seem like, oh, that all feminists are not the same, but they're all centered around the empowerment of women. Even what she's saying, you'll sleep with a whole bunch of men, but then you're afraid that they might want to take it from you. I don't understand that concept. If you're so afraid of men, why are you sleeping with so many? And then to not be able to say what is good about men is crazy when you are out here just screwing them left and right. So clearly that's something that you like about them, but it's like they have to stay on this feminist, you know, roller coaster. Like you can't really deviate much from it because deep down inside, a lot of them don't really like men and they really are into women and women's empowerment. So they really can't say for real what they like about men and what's so great about men. That's why they're like, well, what's so great about men? I mean, there's a lot great about men, but they hate to say it, in my opinion. Listen, I thought this was a really good conversation. Once again, shout out to Dr. Daff, Carmen, JC, and Maggie, the substitute teacher. There are some deficits in certain choices that we make, and especially in the Black community, as Maggie pointed out, it's having a negative effect in our communities because we don't, you know, the community is destroyed. We don't have, you know, a real sense of community. We don't have families. You know, we have more single mothers than the nuclear family. And that's going to have a detrimental effect on us and our future and the children of our future if we continue in this way. So I think we have more to focus on and more to you know, more reasons to change this and to do better because it's leading down a path of destruction, in my opinion. Very good conversation. Once again, shout out to all the people involved. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Comment, like, subscribe to the channel. Y'all chime in. Let me know your thoughts on this one. And I will catch you in the next one. Bye.
DeeDeesReactions.